Bacteria are probably one of the most misunderstood organisms on the face of the planet. On the one hand, they can cause diseases like strep throat, hemorrhagic diarrhea, where cuts are formed within the intestinal wall, lesions and sores upon the skin. But not all bacteria are bad. For example, some of them make the cheese that we enjoy, as well as sourdough bread or other such delicious treats. Some bacteria that are deadly have turned into cute plushies that children can play with or people collect. Some even live in the most extreme places on Earth, from deep sea vents to thermal acidic pools that are incredibly deadly. But just how do we go about telling the difference between organisms so small? That is the topic of today. Identifying prokaryotes, Part 1. How to tell prokaryotes apart. Microbiologists use several different methods to be able to identify a bacteria. Shape, environment, cell membrane structure, genetic makeup, and many more. Bacteria have lots of different ways to be able to classify them. From where they live, some in the extreme environments such as acidic lakes, thermal vents, or even ice, to the cell membrane that they have, with some having a thick jelly coat and others a toxin. Today, however, we're just going to be focusing on shape. Cell shape. Prokaryotes have distinct shapes. Prokaryotes have many distinct shapes between them. This allows us to tell how closely related, as well as to be able to identify who they are. The first shape is bacillus, or rod-shaped, shaped like an oval. Bacillus have a distinct rod shape that allows them to be easily identified. It looks like something close to a hot dog or a cylinder. One such example of a bacillus is anthrax. Anthrax is lethal and can cause things like an Escher or severe respiratory diseases that will eventually lead to death. Coccus, circular shaped. Clostridium bacteria are characterized by a spherical shape. They can be in chains, solo, or in clusters. One example of a coccus-shaped bacteria is Streptococcus pyogenes. It's the causing agent of strep throat, as well as the deadly disease necrotizing fasciitis, or flesh-eating bacteria. Vibrio, comma-shaped. Vibrio bacteria have a distinct bent shape to them. Some common diseases that are caused by this are things like cholera, where the body will continuously leak out fluids into the point of dehydration and eventually death. Spirochete, spiral-shaped. Spirochetes have a unique squiggly shape, where one cell can be incredibly long, yet incredibly narrow and corkscrewed. A famous example of a spirochete is the one that causes syphilis, an STD that is characterized by swelling, rashes, sores, and eventually insanity. There are many other unique and individual shapes, from gonorrhea, which has a diplo form, to the club-shaped Corynebacter that can cause hemorrhagic vomiting. There are many other types as well. What are some other bacteria shapes that you can look up for? Also, be curious to see, now that I've given you the shapes, try and see some of the diseases that you commonly know, and look up what bacterial shape they are. I think you'll be surprised at just kind of how common, and while shape does work a little bit, we need other methods to be able to identify them, and that's what we'll be talking about next week. Have a good one.